Yo, YouTube, is Anarchist of Darkness, also known as Sir Killington of Colorstruck. And I'm here to do this video. Obviously, you clicked on it because of the name. So, before I start, I want to go ahead and acknowledge that I know that all white folk from Europe, from the United States, to Australia, and all over the places where Europeans have taken land, I know that they all don't believe this. I know that they all don't think like this, because everybody don't think that way. White people are not a monolith. I shouldn't have to say that, because we already know white people aren't a monolith. They get displayed differently than other peoples and other races. So white people. What I think white people think about black people. Now, none of this, I'm going to use some history, I'm going to use some facts, but really most of this is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt or tell me how you really feel about black folk. Now, I feel like white people think that black people are a Trojan horse. Now, let me explain that to you guys. History, white people took us from Africa. Europeans took us from Africa, sold us into slavery for goods, and it was like a triangular trade between Africa, Europe, and the United States, or just the Americas in general. And since then, the whole 300 to 400 years, about 350 years, and counting, African Americans have been fighting white people. We've been fighting, and we refuse to stop. We're not going to stop. We're never going to stop fighting them. Not because of a vindictive thing, not because we have a chip on our shoulder, but because of certain things that happened between the time we were enslaved to the times we were free. So, as long as there's never any reparations, we're always going to fight. Obviously. And everything after we were free, from equal but separate, Jim Crow laws, civil rights laws, all of these things created the culture was already there, because while we were enslaved, something called eugenics happened. If you don't believe me, just look it up, where basically it created this hierarchy where white rich people are way up here and black people are all the way down here. It was a pyramid, and since then it's evolved. Eugenics basically created racism, okay? That's why I say racism isn't a definition, because racism is actually a social science. It's a scientific theory now, because you can carry it in different forms of living, not just, hey, I hate niggers, fuck you. It's let's see how we can affect the Negroes without letting them know that we're affecting them. It's like we can put stop and frisk is one of those things. Like, they don't stop and frisk white people. They don't stop and frisk young white males. They stop and frisk black males. They stop and frisk Latino males, right? They don't stop and frisk white kids. So because of all of these things, all in America that African Americans have done, we have not done. We've dealt with when it comes to the European American or the white folk. We've always resisted. We've not stopped fighting, right? We're still fighting right now, right? Black Lives Matter shouldn't have to exist, because if Black Lives actually mattered, then there wouldn't be a fight, right? So the Trojan horse thing is simply because we're always fighting them, and white people believe that somehow the 13th Amendment and the Civil Rights Bill somehow gave black people equal rights and somehow completely destroyed racism. Sorry, white folk, it did not. That is a fact. We all know that's fact. Like I said, it's a scientific theory. There are different ways to affect people other than saying, I hate you, nigger, right? So because of this, black people have really been very accepting of other races. of other racial, other ethnic groups, mainly because we're by ourselves. We're 13% of the country. White folk are 60% of the country. We won't be able to get our rights back unless we get some of these other minority groups getting in it. Because a lot of these other minority groups, there's white people and then there's black people. Some of these minority groups are all the way in the middle, and they're like, you know what? White people don't really fuck with us that much. They give us little Chinese jokes, or they, I don't know who else, like white Arabs. They're like, well, we're white, we just happen to be Arab and Muslim, so whatever. Like, there are people who are like that. So they're just like, okay, it doesn't affect us, so we don't give a fuck. But the ones who do understand that, they will partner with black folk on different things. And I think that makes white people scared. That's why whenever you hear about white people becoming a minority in 2040, which is not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Because there are still big populations of white people in this country where there are literally almost no minorities live. It's part of the reason why the country's so fucked up now, because a lot of white people learn about black people using the television. And the television don't really display us in our whole glory. They instead, have us on cops and stuff like that. But that's the way it used to be. In the last fucking 5 years, it changed a little bit. So anyway, that's problematic. And they think that because the way black people are, we're sort of a Trojan horse. If they don't keep their foot on our necks, then if they don't, that we will somehow, some way, overtake them. And that's the furthest from the truth. We want your foot off our neck. At least, I think black people feel. We want our foot off your neck so we can go ahead and fucking have the freedoms that you fucking have. But that's not the case, unfortunately. It's just like, oh, we're going to continue to do stuff. We're going to pretend like, oh, all the stuff you're talking about is fake. No, racism is gone. The 13th Amendment and the 2 pieces of paper basically destroyed racism. Affirmative act has destroyed racism, right? There's a lot of... This is just the way I think white folk in general feels about black people. And now, it's not, like I said, it's not all of them, but there's one thing that white folk can't deny. All white folk, unless you were raised around a bunch of black people, you have black aunties and uncles, and your parents are so liberal that they're willing to look outside of who they are and put themselves in somebody else's shoes, then maybe you weren't conditioned as much as the next white person who didn't have any of that, right? Really, you don't have to be liberal for that. You should be able to be Republican, conservative, but still believe that as well, or be able to do that with yourself as well. Because even as a black man, I have to uproot myself and understand that white people, like I'm saying, everything I'm saying is all in conjunction with each other. I know that a whole lot of white people have never really had connections or friendships with black people, and they've never really met a whole lot of black people. All they know is that one black kid whose parents escaped the hood, and they're trying their hardest to be away from anything that has to do with blackness. So chances are they've met black kids who are from that, but haven't really had to live the black experience. So they haven't really had that much connection with black people, so they don't really know. So what they learn about black people is on television. So that's why I think that a good amount of white people believe that black people are a Trojan horse and that we will destroy America. Maybe I'm thinking about it too complex. Any black people, if you got any comments, leave it in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I just want to start that conversation. Like, why is it we're like this all the time? I really just think, like I said, you believe that we're a Trojan horse. That, or the more simple, or something that I really can't really say. you just hate us and you don't want us to be here, so you want us to leave, and you're tired of hearing about blackness and you just want America for white people. I don't believe for most white people that's the case. I believe for a big amount, the case is you just think that you should keep your foot on our necks and be tough on us somehow, like you're like parents or something, because otherwise we'll overtake America, and that's the furthest thing from the case. I guess that's the video. Tell me what you guys think. White, black, anybody. I want to know what you guys think. Also, obviously, if you go ahead and get racial, you already know I'm not allowing that. Delete, block, report it, all of that shit. I'm not for that. But if you have a valid point, we can have a conversation. Okay, we can have a conversation. Like, but racial epithets will not be tolerated, obviously. All right, guys.